really good win for our group. A lot of respect for this Purdue team, and obviously tremendous respect for Matt. Our teams have competed against each other for a few years now, and obviously they got us here last year pretty good. Got us at their place more than pretty good. So it was a good win. I think they're a really quality team that's extremely well coached and presents problems offensively and defensively. And we had some really good stretches, and we had some stretches that, you know, we got to keep growing and improving on. But make no mistake, you beat a team that is as complete as Purdue is in a lot of ways on your home floor. It's a really good win. Thank you to our fans who came out today. Great environment, great energy in the building. I know all of our remaining weekend games are sold out. I would love for senior night to get sold out as well. So just really appreciative of our fans, but great job by our players.
Chris, when the final whistle went off, you were pumping your fists and gesturing with the students a little bit. Did this mean anything extra? I mean, I know all wins are hard to get at this time of year, but did this one sit with you any different or feel any different?
I think it was more that, Adam, the former. I just think it's hard to beat teams. I mean, I saw this team go in and play a good Indiana team last week, and you know that can put a little fear into a coach. So I thought our guys were aware of that, had great respect for this Purdue team, and were able to kind of keep it within reach. It was just, you know, it's a little bit of an exhale, and appreciative of our students too, because they really both home games this week, they really brought great energy. I mean, our nut house has been great, fantastic this week.
And when you talk about good stretches, bad stretches, did the defense sort of stay consistent throughout all that? Because even when the shots weren't going in, the Purdue never really seemed to, once you push the lead out, they didn't seem to get back.
Yeah, I thought our defense was as good and as sound as we played all year. And you know, they're a little bit different when they play at home versus on the road in a lot of ways. Offensively, their numbers are a little bit different, but still they're very difficult to guard. Trayvon Williams is a load inside. So I thought our defensive consistency was good. Like I said, Purdue puts their players in great position and make it difficult to guard. We had stretches in the first half where we just both missed shots and turned it over against the pressure, which they're good at. You know, some of that was on us, some of that was credit to them.
Chris, what did you make of Kyle's game? He ended up leading you guys in scoring at a career high. You know, he took a couple threes too. I didn't know if you were told to take those threes or you wanted to take those threes or not. But maybe aside from those threes, how do you feel like you played today?
I didn't tell him to, Bill, but I didn't tell him not to either. He was wide open on the first one. Corner three, she shot it really well in practice throughout the year. You know, I didn't mind. I think two of them one of them the corner one I certainly didn't mind. I think more than anything, he impacts the game ways that not always are on the stat sheet, but today it really was on the stat sheet with his rebounds and his scoring, his activity, his ability to guard different bodies in different positions. He was really good.
When you guys are ranking 500 now, Big Ten play, and obviously there's so long way to go, when you think of how your team just sort of needs to continue playing the rest of the way, does a guy like Kyle with his motor and what he's playing for sort of physically, does he sort of embody that as much as anybody on your team?
Embody what? I missed you there.
The effort, the mindset that your team needs to continue to play with moving forward.
No doubt. I think that's the difference, and we'll see if we can do that on the road against a really good Iowa team that is so much different at home. That's going to be as great a challenge as we've had, because you know, this stretch has been great, but I didn't feel like, in Wisconsin had a lot to do with that, but I didn't feel like we brought enough effort in that particular game, in this stretch, which has been so strong in that area, including our win on the road in Michigan. So we'll see. I think that's the next challenge for our group and our captains to lead the way there. You know, and I think we practiced pretty well since really before the Minnesota game. I've said that for a number of weeks. I felt like we were practicing a little bit better. You don't always see the results. We certainly did in that particular game, but we started to see some growth. And that's a tribute to our four captains, Andre, Caleb, Kyle, and CJ.
Focus on the defense again. When you start going through some of these offensive stretches where you know you're maybe struggling a little bit, I think it was 24-12 put a little bit there. You see your defense kind of stay strong. You know, are you happy to see that, like, at least that part of it is still kind of
Yeah.
wavering itself?
Yeah, that's a mindset thing, that's a toughness thing. If you're gonna waver on that end, because if that's tied to your offense, then you are one soft group, and we weren't today.
And like your last 6 games here that you're getting ready to play are going to be kind of similar as far as the talent level and as far as competitive level. Is this how you, obviously you don't want 16 turnovers every single game, but like, do you feel like this is how you guys are going to have to play, whereas you're going to have to lean on your defense a little bit more when you do have these little 4 or 5 minutes?
I think it varies from game to game, really. You know, I thought, what do we have in the first half of the Rutgers game? 30-something, you know, offensively. It was a little bit of a different game in that particular game. You know, I thought we closed the half really well with the score and a stop today, which was critical. Bottom line, I think each game is different. You know, I just know we have really, really challenging games coming up. I don't know outside of Iowa what's after that. Just in this league, they keep coming, and I think every game's going to be different.
You guys shot 23s. I know you said Wednesday night that 25 was probably the huge thing. Did you make 45% of them? And then you also beat the Blacks 23 times. You shoot 23 free throws. Is this one of the more encouraging things you've seen offensively? Being able to shoot high volume threes, but also get to the free throw line like that?
Yeah, I thought we were balanced, a little more balanced offensively in that particular area today. We can get a little bit three happy because we have a lot of guys where that is what they do. All right, that's kind of their first go-to. You know, there's certain players where, like Jayshawn Tate, that wasn't his go-to, right? His go-to was attack the paint. We have a lot of guys. Our roster's kind of made up where that's kind of what they do. So our emphasis in talking to them has to be on, hey, listen, let's make sure we are bringing balance to our offense and attacking the paint.
You're shooting about 40% in these 2 home games, but now you go on the road. How do you strike a balance between keeping these guys confident shooting, but know that might not be sustainable when you go on the road like this?
Yeah, it won't be sustainable. It never is. There's dramatic, or it's usually significant drop off in percentages. So you got to do it. You got to do it with your defense, and you got to have, like we talked about, a more balanced offensive attack.
How well have you adjusted without DJ? Because you're on a nice little streak here.
Yeah.
I mean, when you lose a player that's,
Yeah.
how tough of an adjustment was it, and how well have you pulled it off?
We had to look at changing some things both in our rotation and in how we are playing, because he was a guy like in a game like this where if he were to continue to grow, and I will say this, DJ is still very much a part of our team and a part of our program. I know something came up last week that my staff told me about with some misunderstanding. He's very much a part of our team. They change the highlight video all the time. I think Adam was made clear to you, right? That it was more of just a change. We stay in regular communication with him. But to your point, we've had the Clay look at changing some things. It just it's still kind of evolving, to be honest with you. But we've had other guys stepped up. What it has allowed is a guy like Justin to be in the rotation more consistently.
Because you play Iowa Thursday, is there any chance he'll be part of your team on Thursday night?
Yeah, I don't have an answer on that right now. You know, one way or the other, I don't have an answer on that.
Matt was very complimentary of your team today. I just want you to know that before I read this quote, because it might lead you to believe otherwise, but
Okay.
I'm going somewhere with it. He said they didn't play great, they played good enough to beat us, but they did not play great. They can play great at home. Today was not one of those days. In that framework, you've won 5 of 6, but it feels different to me than when you were 9-0 and 11-1. Are non-conference games and what fans draw from non-conference games in a league like you're in, are non-conference games fool's gold to some degree?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. All over the country. It's not even. You certainly can lose some of those games, but there's a significant talent disparity in certain non-conference games. This league, man, it's big boy basketball. It is big boy basketball every night. And I appreciate Matt being complimentary of our team. That's his value. I thought we had some really good stretches today. I really did. I thought we were a little bit too sloppy at times, but I thought we had some really good stretches of play this week in general. As complete as we would have liked, not necessarily. That's where we gotta keep getting better.
But really good now, your standard for really good now, I would imagine is different than your standard or what was displayed during what people would figure was a really good stretch against Villanova, Carolina, and Kentucky.
No, not at all. I mean, such a different part of the season. Not at all, really. I think I got a lot of respect for the teams that were playing, and when you look at their numbers, they're almost equally as they're very similar. Like Purdue's numbers are very similar to Villanova's when you look across the board. Granted, that was a bit of an outlier because of how we shot it, but not really. Standard has not changed. Obviously, we're down a little bit, of an important player, so maybe that, but not at all. I felt like we did have some really good stretches.
CJ gives you 9 points. He had 4 assists and no turnovers. In a game where you guys did turn it over, what did he give you today?
Just steadiness, ball handling, balance. Made the right play a lot. Took maybe 1 or 2 poor possessions into the last 8 minutes of the first half. I didn't love, but steadiness, solid defense. I thought he was really solid today.
What is he continuing to give you from just controlling the offense and doing things like people are going to look at his scoring? That's obviously not his primary thing on this team. What is he giving you from controlling the game and like you mentioned defense and things like that, things that we're not maybe noticing?
Yeah, in a game like today, his just ball handling, his ability to initiate offense under duress was critical. And like you look at our game from at Indiana, how much better we are at initiating offense against pressure than we were at that time. You remember all the times, and some of that is we had a couple different point guards, but we're much better at getting into our stuff against pressure, I believe, right now than what we were.
You mentioned the offensive balance, but just defensively, I think you had pretty solid balance in defending them both inside and outside. Were you seeing the same things?
Yeah, I was. I thought we were consistently pretty good. They probably miss shots that they're normally going to make that don't make it home, to be honest with you. But I thought we were pretty consistent there. We had some lulls offensively that I didn't love, and just some plays where we just were not tough enough with the ball offensively. That's probably my biggest frustration. But I thought defensively we were pretty solid.
Did you feel like you made progress in not allowing the missed offensive shots and the offensive lulls to sort of debilitate you offensively?
Well, that's a maturity thing, and that is a growth thing. I told the guys after the locker room, Caleb Weston as a freshman, when he had frustrating moments, it affected every part of his play. It just did. He wasn't as engaged in the game, and that's a maturity thing. He got much better with it as a sophomore, but still, think about the game here last year when he fouled out, really frustrated with some tough calls. He's really grown at staying engaged, contributing on both ends. He made some really important plays for us, and yet still was frustrated with some plays in the first half. That your team's got to embody that too. Your team has to be able to kind of play through missed shots, even a poor segment, a poor play, and just move forward. That's a toughness thing.
He's younger. Do you see the legitimate signs of maturity at this point?
We're better than we were. Not ready to, let's see how we are on the road.
Evan Boudreaux is someone who had some success against you guys, especially in the second half until he got his 4th foul and then eventually his 5th. Do you ever scheme or coach to take advantage of guys in foul trouble and try to get them out of the game?
Yeah, we were talking about that on the bench a few times to go at him, but they were post-trapping, so it wasn't going to be an effective way to attack him. We talked about running something for Kyle to post-trap, but they would have, or to go at Boudreaux with his 4th, but they would have just come with a post-trap, and that was probably our worst offense of the day, is side post-up versus the post-trap. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know how much you look at plus minus, but Mr. Muhammad was plus 26 today. Thought he did a lot of good things on both ends of the floor. Finding his shot a little bit, what have you seen from him coming along this season?
That's a good question, by the way, back to your other question, because I know how fans think sometimes. Right? He's got his 4th foul, he's killing you, you got to attack him. And yet they don't know the layers that go into the thought behind it. So, I'm sorry. What was your question?
Just about plus minus, I don't know how much you pay
Yeah.
attention to that.
He was great. He was great. Made shots, took good ones, took clean ones. Kind of played off other guys. I thought played really solid and then impacted the game on the other end. I thought Luther was really as good as maybe he's been. I do think he's getting his legs a little bit back from a tough January.
Chris, what did you like about the end of the half where Hunter tried to drive on Justin and he got that steal? And you can talk a lot about Justin. So what did you see that moment?
Thought it was really good. It was a really important stretch to be able to score. I think we scored right before that. Dwayne scored right before that and attacked. And then there was a little bit, it's always a momentum thing, right? And we finished the half here in the last 2 games well. And then Justin did a good job rolling up without fouling. Sometimes he has some errors in terms of fouling too much. I thought he was good. He gambled a little bit in the second half that hurt us, but Justin continues to grow. That's the deal for him is he's got to compete on that end.
And then I don't, maybe you noticed this, maybe you did a little bit before that. Andre turned the ball over up top. It was rolling on the floor. It looks like Eastern's going to pick it up and they're going to have like a 3-on-0 or 3-on-1. CJ cut off Eastern, then got in the lane and sort of stopped Williams, and it ends up being a turnover. What did you? I don't know if that juncture stood out to you, and then what's it say about CJ? I guess to compete and hustle the way. he
Yeah,
does?
I don't remember that particular sequence, but I do know there was a couple times where it looked like they had 3-on-1 or 3-on-2 situations, and those are big momentum things as well. That's what your junior point guard. Granted, he's new to us. Those play like he's got to make those plays. That's really he's that kind of. That's the expectation for him, honestly, to be able to make those kind of plays. That's who he is as a player. That's why we recruit him. He's a high-level competitor, and he did that today.